DVB Digital Fast.
Hello and welcome to the DVB Newsroom. I'm Nora. Joining me today is Benedict Rogers, the recently appointed Senior Director at Fortify Rights. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure. It's great to be back at DVB.
As I just mentioned, you recently became the Senior Director at Fortify Rights. What does this role entail?
Well, it's a combination of responsibilities. So within Fortify Rights, part of my role will be to support and encourage and work with our teams, particularly on Myanmar, but also other parts of the region and indeed Ukraine. Part of my role is to develop and lead international advocacy, particularly in the United Kingdom, European Union, the US, the UN. And also part of my role is to develop new work in East Asia. Over the years, I've worked a lot on China and North Korea, and we hope to develop some work on those areas as well.
You've been involved in human rights across Asia for decades, with a particular focus on Myanmar, including several published books and reports. What makes Myanmar different from the other countries in the region you work in?
I think there are two main differences. The first is that it's the only country that I've worked on that has a military regime, and a military regime that several times has taken power by coup, most recently, of course, in 2021. And also it's the only country that I've worked on that has decades of armed conflict, of civil war. The other countries I've worked on, China, North Korea, Indonesia, and other areas of Asia, have major human rights violations, but they don't have an armed conflict and they don't have military regimes.
Fortify Rights focuses in its human rights work in Southeast Asia, but also includes Bangladesh, which holds nearly 1 million Rohingya from Myanmar as refugees. Do you plan to meet with Bangladesh Chief Advisor Mohammed Yunus to discuss his repatriation plan?
I don't personally have any plans to do that, but I know Fortify Rights and some of my colleagues are in touch with him and with his office. And what I would say is that any plan to send back refugees against their will at this time would be really a violation of international law. It would be a violation of the principle of non-refoulement, because Fortify Rights is continuing to document serious human rights violations in Rakhine, both by the military and by the Arakan army. So now is not the time to send people back. I hope that the Bangladeshi government will look at alternatives such as long-term settlement, the right to work, and the right to live in Bangladesh. So that's what we'll be advocating for.
What do you think can be achieved with the UN high-level meetings on the Rohingya plan for September?
Well, I hope that those meetings, first of all, will include key representatives of the Rohingya community, including from the refugee camps in Bangladesh. Obviously, the meeting is taking place in the United States, and the Trump administration currently has a ban on Myanmar passport holders from visiting the US. So I hope the Trump administration will make at least a temporary exemption to enable Rohingya of whatever passport they hold, but particularly if they hold a Myanmar passport, to be able to travel to the US. And I hope that the meeting will really serve to find long-term solutions for the Rohingyas, and especially when looking at the future of Myanmar, it's crucial that the Rohingyas are part of that future. So that's what I hope the meeting will address.
The International Criminal Court Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan requested an arrest warrant for Min Aung Hlaing in November. Do you think this warrant for crimes against humanity perpetrated against the Rohingya will ever be issued?
I think it's certainly possible. We've seen arrest warrants issued in the past for other perpetrators of mass atrocity crimes, and what we're seeing with the Rohingya is genocide, is crimes against humanity. So there's every reason why the arrest warrant should be issued. And there are other countries where there are political factors that prevent such things happening, but there's no reason really Of course, China and Russia are obstacles, but apart from that, there's no reason not to issue the arrest warrant. So I hope it will happen, and I hope it will happen soon.
Last year, we had Fortify Rights Director John Quinley here in the newsroom to discuss international accountability for the crimes committed by the military. How can international justice be provided to the Rohingya and the latest victims of the 2021 military coup?
Well, I think international justice and accountability is vital for Myanmar's future. Myanmar can't move forward to a genuine federal democracy at whatever point that comes when the current military regime falls. It can't move forward without recognizing the atrocity crimes that have been committed. So it's very important that justice and accountability take place, whether that is through the International Criminal Court or obviously there are cases that the Gambia has brought at the International Court of Justice. There are also universal jurisdiction cases, such as in Argentina. So those processes are already underway, and any one of those could be the way forward, or there could be some other process, an ad hoc tribunal. There are a lot of options, but it's very important that the international community supports justice and accountability.
Fortify Rights paid a visit to the government in Dili, the capital Timor-Leste, to discuss how it could play a role in holding Min Aung Hlaing and his generals accountable at the ICC. How would this work exactly?
Well, when I joined Fortify Rights, I was very excited to hear about this because I used to spend a lot of time in Timor-Leste. Timor-Leste was actually the first country that I got involved with in terms of its human rights struggle, even before its independence. And Timor-Leste has become a very vibrant democracy that speaks out for democracy and human rights very actively. The way it could happen is that Timor-Leste is a party to the to the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, and as a state party, it could call for Article 14 of the Rome Statute to be initiated to trigger a referral, and that's what I hope Timor-Leste and other countries as well will look at doing.
In your most recent op-ed for the Catholic news agency UCA News, you point out that the regime in Naypyidaw is threatened by Dili's full membership at the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Why do you think the regime is against Timor-Leste becoming the 11th member of ASEAN?
I think it's very clear they don't like any country, any government that points out the truth about the situation in Myanmar and the illegitimate nature of this military regime. And Timor-Leste has been doing that. Timor-Leste has been meeting with members of groups that oppose the regime, particularly the National Unity Government, the NUG. And those are the reasons that Myanmar opposes it. And the Myanmar junta has specifically cited that. So they've been clear. My view is that ASEAN needs to make a choice. Is it on the side of democracy or dictatorship? And if it is on the side of democracy, then it should find a way to welcome Timor-Leste, even if Myanmar opposes it. And if necessary, welcome Timor-Leste and, as I said in my op-ed, suspend or expel Myanmar.
President Jose Ramos Horta is a close friend of Aung San Suu Kyi, who has been held by the regime since February 1st, 2021. Do you think he and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, the current chair of ASEAN, will call for her release and push for peace in Myanmar?
I certainly hope they will, and I can't speak so much about the Malaysian leader, but I know Jose Ramos Horta personally. I haven't seen him for a few years, but I used to meet him quite regularly. I know his support for Aung San Suu Kyi and for democracy in Myanmar is very strong and very long term, and so I would certainly encourage him to call for her release. And particularly once Timor-Leste has joined ASEAN, I hope Timor-Leste will play an active role in ASEAN in encouraging ASEAN to take a stronger line on Myanmar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next year, the chairmanship of ASEAN bypasses Myanmar and goes to the Philippines. Malaysia has only a few more months at the helm to push for the regional bloc's 5-point consensus peace plan before Manila take over. What do you see happening in ASEAN going forward?
Well, I'm less familiar with Philippines politics than I am with some of the other member states of ASEAN. I know Malaysia and Indonesia quite well. I don't know the Philippines so well. But the good thing is that the chairmanship has not passed to one of the more authoritarian dictatorship member states, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos. It's passed to a country like the Philippines that that has a history of democracy, that is an open society. So I hope the Philippines will play an active role in its chairmanship. Malaysia has played a very welcome active role during its chairmanship, and I hope the Philippines will build on that.
At the international level, the crisis in Myanmar since the 2021 coup is rarely discussed. Since the devastating March 28 earthquake, international aid has flowed to the regime, with survivors seeing very little assistance. How will you continue to advocate on behalf of Myanmar people going forward?
Well, I'm very concerned that, as you say, the situation in Myanmar is not higher up the international agenda. It certainly deserves to be after the terrible coup in 2021, all of the atrocities that we've seen since then, and the humanitarian catastrophe that came from the earthquake. I will do everything I can to continue to raise Myanmar in the British Parliament and with the British government, also at the European Union level, in the US, the UN and other arenas, both myself through regular advocacy, but also through, from time to time, facilitating opportunities for key activists and political leaders from Myanmar's democracy movement. Just recently, I had the privilege of hosting and arranging meetings for Dr. Sasa, the Minister for International Cooperation in the NUG, and I hope I'll do more of that kind of thing. I think it's crucial to try to get the situation of Myanmar higher up the international agenda, particularly ahead of the planned sham elections that Min Aung Hlaing intends to hold. It's crucial that the international community does not support those elections and that it does pay attention to the human rights crisis in Myanmar.
As we wrap up, is there anything else you would like to share with the people of Myanmar?
I think I would just say to the people of Myanmar who are watching this, I have been working on Myanmar for about 25 years. I visited Myanmar and the border areas, I think more than 60 times. I was deported from Myanmar in the past, not once, but twice. And I will never abandon or forget Myanmar. For me, this is a lifelong commitment, and I will do everything I can, together with my colleagues, our team in Fortify Rights, to ensure that the situation in Myanmar is addressed by the international community, that there is justice and accountability, and I will continue to work for a genuine federal democracy and genuine peace and freedom for all the people of Myanmar.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.